Rappers and entertainers who capitalize off blacks and do not give a dime back to their communities. So I'm just going to go into this article. It's by Essence and it was dated May 23rd, 2013. Dr. Dre, he recently donated $35 million donation to a University of Southern California, and it's upsetting HBCU leaders. Um, Dr. Dre ruffled some feathers recently when he joined forces with Jimmy Iovine in donating $70 million to the University of Southern California to create Jimmy Iovine and Andre Young's Academy for Arts, Technology, and the Business of Innovation. Some feel that Dr. Dre's portion of $35 million would better be used at a historic black college or university. Walter M. Kimbrough, the president of Dillard University, expressed his disappointment in Dr. Dre's decision by way of an opt piece published in the LA Times. What if Dr. Dre had given $35 million, his half of the USC gift, and about 10% of his wealth, according to the Forbes estimate, to an institution that enrolls the very people who supported his career at the beginning, an institution where the majority of students are low income, a place where $35 million would represent a truly transformational gift. This gift is gravy for USC. For a black college, it would be transforming not just individuals but the whole institution and communities. Although Kimbrough celebrates Dr. Dre's donation to education and likens the gift to Bill and Camille Cosby's $20 million gift to Spelman College in 1988, he argues that USC students' population doesn't quite need the funds like many black colleges do. And given USC's $45,602 tuition. Can you imagine that for a student? Next year, I'm confident, and it's probably higher now, we're in 2016, that Dr. Dre could have sponsored multiple full ride scholarships to private black colleges for the cost of one USC student, he argues. Kimbrough hopes the program will recruit diverse students and not become an enclave for the already privileged student body there. What's your opinion on the matter? Okay, he asked the question. When celebrities give, are they responsible for giving back to their own communities or communities, black communities, first before giving to other communities? Those are good questions. Take the poll. So the poll here shows, are celebs responsible for giving back to the communities, black communities? There's 59% here. And then, no, it's not their responsibility. That's a 41%. And I thought that was rather shocking. And so, in reading that, there are, if you look up rappers who do not give back to their communities, you'll see people who do give back to their communities and people who don't give back to their communities. So I wanted to know what your opinions are on those issues, because that's pretty important when you have a whole host of males and females, black, male and female pro-black people who claim they've got this agenda where they're gonna, they have all this great advice of what black people should do. They try to boycott other organizations, but we don't look within our own communities to see who has profited off of black dollars but has made it big and has not given back to their own black communities where they grew up, they have friends, family, and what have you. So I don't know if you've heard of the saying COINTELPRO, and then you have all these high incarceration rates of black males. And so I wanted to take a look too at some of the issues you're seeing. Black rappers, this article, it says these rappers make money but they do not give back to the black community. And we talked about, particularly, I'm going to go down to where it talks about Dr. Dre. He's not the only one. So Dr. Dre, he made himself even more famous by becoming nearly a billionaire after selling beats by Dr. Dre to Apple. And he then worked with Jimmy Iovine, again, to give $35 million to a USC, which is a wealthy white school. It's private, that doesn't hire many black professors and typically only accepts black students if they play in a sport. Now, let that marinate, pro-black people. If Dr. Dre had given that money to HBCUs instead, it would create tens of thousands of black doctors, lawyers, professors, teachers, engineers, accountants, and social workers. And so think about it. If you're pro-black and you're promoting all this black unity, then wouldn't you, common sense would tell you, wouldn't you go after some of these guys that all these years you've given money to their albums, you listen to their albums, and you've listened to their music, and you've looked at their videos, and you've bought their shirts and their buttons, and you've played their music numerous times on your radio and your stereo. You've had parties, friends over. Some people out there may even know these people by first name basis, but yet you have seen nothing from these individuals giving back to their own community, who these people could probably within weeks transform communities, black communities that were once thriving, and they could thrive again even harder in a ways that you wouldn't believe, that would transform and cause young black youth and young people, young poor people in communities to become doctors, lawyers, professors, artists, and do more positive things for communities. But you had nobody saying anything about these things, yet they always talk about what happened a long time ago, which we all know about this now. A lot is coming out, and there's a lot of anger. So why don't we direct the anger towards things that can really make something happen? And I've heard Claude Anderson and a whole host of people speaking on black economics. Well, here's your black economics right here. You've got people who they have money to actually make stuff happen, but you never see these people, you know, going after them and saying, hey, why don't you help donate to the cause? Power to the people, my brother, my sister, and what have you. But you never hear that. And now we're hearing all these stories about, you know, what has happened between the relationship with him and women, Dr. Dre and female. So I just thought those were important things to focus on. And so I'm going to, before you see the photos of other black rappers who have not really contributed to the community like they should have, like I said, I looked up an article. It's called Financial Juneteenth, Breaking the Chains of Financial Slavery. These rappers make money but do not give back to black communities. So Forbes magazine published its annual traditional listing of what calls the Cash Prince Young. Cash Prince Young is one of them. He stars under the age of 30, who holds a huge sway in the rap game and have the absolute potential to steer and influential or influence the youth. And the list includes names of rappers who have achieved financial success and gains and have a huge following fan base, particularly in the black community. And these artists have what it takes to help the next generation of kids find their way in life and aspire to better goals, achieve and aspire through applying themselves, and they could give back to the communities that they came from and make life or living better for everyone in it. Instead, many of them, they opt out and use their medium to further spread negativity, stereotypes of people in the black community that are already thriving, and they're all over social media bashing black women. They ignore the voice of black kids who need to be heard and sound their own with the message of violence and decadence. So I'll go back into that in a moment of those individuals, but I know you see the clips of some of these people should be coming up pretty soon, but I'm going to start talking about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter should also, I really think that they should also look at those issues as well, because music is influential part of black culture. Entertaining music. Just be honest. Here, black people usually tend to gravitate to artists and to the arts, the music, and if you have black entertainers, we usually like to sponsor or to, put our dollars, our black dollars, into other black prominent figures. So I believe that we should also hold them accountable. Now, I understand that these people are their own individuals and how they feel or how they feel suit, but still, you can't tell me that you don't feel that they should be obligated. There should be some type of obligation that they should have to put back into schools and neighborhoods where they've grown up, places they've seen, or even though they have moved on and they are doing better in their lives. I know that they see what's happening in the news just like all of us that are aware, who are supposedly people that are out there claim they're pro-black. I believe that they really should pay close attention and say, not just say, oh, we need to do something about this, when they're sitting on wads and wads of cash and they're donated to white universities or specifically privileged universities. But they need to also focus on what is happening in these communities and say, look, you know what, I grew up in that neighborhood, or I know this neighborhood, or I shopped there. I've shopped there when I didn't have anything. I'm going to give back to those communities. So they should be responsible. And it's not just the males. There's females. There's a clip here also of black women who have been murdered, also alongside of black men, or in other situations that have been murdered by police, or they've been murdered in incidences, and you don't hear enough about this. And so I have to put these photos of these young ladies up here because they are black American women who have been murdered. They've been slaughtered just like black males. And if we're going to march for black men, you need to march for black women as well. And so we're about to come up on a clip here, and I'm just going to start reading out off while you look at these clips of these rap artists you're going to see. I'm going to start reading off of some of these rappers who, for example, take Atlanta rapper duo. Let's start with Young Thug. For example, apart from being relied upon to produce works with some of the most violent lyrics, this rapper goes online and posts pictures of himself burning $100 bills as a way to show how rich he is. He also posts pictures in which he is using illicit drugs. Okay, you're going to see photos of these individuals. Okay, and then you have this group called Atlanta rapper duo Ray Sir, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's SREM, Sraymerd or whatever. Okay, so they have all these nicknames and what have you. Some of them are easier to pronounce than others. They have a knack for creating demeaning music that paints black women as hypersexual objects and nothing more. And this is a problem in the black community. It's been an ongoing problem in the black community, and that, I believe, also has contributed to the separating of black females from black males, because they are not valued in a respectful way, even in the music and entertainment business. And we've seen that in Dr. Dre's videos. We've seen that in Snoop Dogg's videos. We've seen that in Sugar Free's videos of portraying black women as hoes and bees and sluts, and this group called Migos, a trio of rappers from Gwinnett County, GA, they have actually been on the shootouts. They rap about and may have also experienced the messages of, it says S and something, I guess sex and drugs and violence in their lyrics. Apart from that, they have nothing to offer the youth, which is, it's sad, because these are, in other words, what they're saying, these are real influential rappers. And also, I hate to say it, but Jay-Z is a part of the group as well. Jay-Z is the king of hip-hop, according to most estimates, and at least he's a cash king. Although he regularly tops the Forbes list of wealthiest rappers, you barely hear a peep from Jay-Z on important issues such as police brutality, mass incarceration, economic disparities in the black community. And don't ask him to make a donation to your charity either. He's not going to be giving you much. Okay? And then you hear, I believe there is also Lil Wayne, whose lyrics talk about murdering other black people, getting high, killing women, etc., but don't include anything empowering about elevating the black community. It's almost as if his slave masters won't allow him to say anything about black people unless he's talking about putting them in the grave. Then, and it's really sad that, you know, I'm looking at this because I really wasn't aware that, you know, it's actually gotten a lot worse than it used to be, you know. So we have another rapper that you were going to come up on. This kid, he looks like a baby, and his name is Lil Mouse, and he's 15 years old. Well, at least back then he was. This rapper, he talks about things that only an adult might be thinking about at the time. So he was doing this when he was younger, sleeping with women, driving fast cars, making money illegally, and other interesting topics. But despite living in Chicago, where lots of black people die every day, Mouse has nothing to say about the plight of his own community and doesn't reflect any desire to give back to those who are struggling along with him. See, these are important issues to look at, okay? Money, drugs, sex is what these people talk about, okay? And then you have money, drugs, sex, also the only subjects in a raw style rapping of YG. Despite his own struggles while growing up, something he doesn't hide, he refuses to put his talents and wide platform to a better use, okay? And we just went over most of the artists here. And then you have another one called Baby from Cash Money Records. This guy, the guy is a classic with never-ending flaunts of how many hundreds of millions of dollars he has in the bank account. He could build a school for the money he spends on new cars every month. He could send thousands of black kids to college, but instead he sends them to strip clubs. And he could be sharpening black minds with knowledge, but instead he wants to dull those minds with drugs and alcohol. What kind of black man is this? Okay, now you've heard it. Do rappers love black people, or are they only meant to serve for white people? You tell us. So you're seeing clips of all these rappers, you know, from Dr. Dre to Jay-Z to Migos, Lil Mouse, and YG, and I've just read to you all of these things, and they usually degrade black women. I think you saw a clip of all the names that they call, derogatory names, a few things, the B word and hoe and sluts and all this, and then they parade them around nude, and then they wonder why black males and females are on the warpath on these websites, and they're against each other. And you have black females who they had to stay and raise those kids, the ones who did, I'm not talking about women who abandoned their responsibilities, but the ones who stayed in there and stayed responsible to their children. They went back to school, they got jobs. They may not make that much money, but they stuck on in there, and now they're ready to date other people outside of the black community because this is what you're left with. This kind of mentality. And this is not attractive. No matter what people say, toting guns, killing people, killing other blacks, we have to also come after one another for these issues and say, look, enough is enough. Let's direct those same talents that these young men have, or they could do a whole lot of good in the community as well as destruction, as what they're doing right here. They're doing destructive things to gain, but they're not putting back into their communities. That maybe to them they don't think it's destructive. Maybe in their minds they're thinking, I'm just capitalizing in a capital society, I'm making money, and it's about mine. I'm coming up on those dollars, that cheddar, that bread, or whatever however they coin it. But if you think about it, the same people that are giving them money to listen to these albums, just think of if you gave money to people who are doing positive things. Now, there are positive artists out there, black artists, but nobody wants to listen to that. They kind of glorify they become callous to death, to drugs, to all this culture of violence. And so and I'm not just saying it's black people alone, because now you have some white rappers now that are out there promoting the same stuff. But get this, it's attracting black youth. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect. Okay, I'm not perfect by a long shot. We have listened to this music when we were younger. But there's a difference here. Some people listen to the music and they live their life like a video movie. They can't separate reality from fantasy. So they look at this and they say, I'm not really going to be anything, but I can be somebody. I can go out there and rob a bank. I could go out there and I could sell drugs. Or I could get high all night, and I could be, they're in that fantasy world. And they use these rappers as a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they get out there and reenact all the stuff they see on videos. Now, I've seen the same thing happen in other nationalities where you have that heavy metal was a big thing. It probably still is, and you'd have white youth that would reenact. They couldn't separate fantasy from reality. They would hear these lyrics about kill, kill, kill the devil and devil worshiping, and they would actually go out and actually commit these crimes. And it's the same. Music is powerful, is what I'm saying. And it's the same thing happening in black communities, where they hear this music and they see these symbols, and you've got people that want to be like that. And they actually go out and do like that. Okay, they actually go out and do this stuff. And so some people look at it as, oh, it's just a form of art. It's music. It's talking about the streets. That's what the boys do in the hood. They pass it off. It's nothing. But look at what it has done, how it has shaped our communities. Our communities are struggling. And these guys are young right here. They probably don't know any better because they've learned from who? Jay-Z is older and Dr. Dre. Now, you've seen those articles that I was reading to you about Dr. Dre. Here he is, $35 million to USC. Come on. Come on. How could that money have helped black communities? You could think of many ways that it could have changed, like they said, and transformed black communities. Why aren't these pro-black people talking about anything like that? We don't have enough of them talking about this stuff. These pro-black economists that sit there and they talk about how to take your black dollars and how you should use your money to try to give back to communities. What is it? Claude Anderson, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he talks about economy, and then you have a whole host of other people. And then you have all these like Dr. Umar. He's just constantly on about bashing gays, like they've hurt the black community. And here you've got your own black people who have not given back to their communities. So what do you think about that? You should ask yourself those questions. Why aren't they going after these individuals? We need more real